Welcome to the Run Your Day podcast, where our goal is to expand your focus and perspective on life. This is your daily dose of motivation, mindfulness, and so much more. And now, here to help you take your day back, your host, Dan Hafner.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into another episode and another week of the Run Your Day podcast. As always, your host, Dan Hafner, coming at you here. Today, it is Monday, my friends, and today's topic is this. Was 10, now 20. As always, thank you all for joining. Appreciate you guys coming on and listening every single day. All right, my friends, it is Monday. It is Monday. Damn, I'm excited. Man, what a good weekend it was. It was kind of rainy here. I live in West Virginia, for some of you that don't know, but yeah, it was a little bit of a gloomy weekend, but I hope everyone, anyone that listens to this that is a mother, hope you had a great Mother's Day. We all appreciate our moms, and they are the people that gave us life, and we all appreciate you, to all the moms out there. So, moving on with today's episode, was 10, now 20. There are always things in our lives that we're just better at than we used to be, whether we give ourselves credit for it or not. And this analogy kind of goes back to just honestly a commercial I saw this weekend, and it was one of those infomercials just happened to be on when I turned on the TV, and a lady talked about how she was only able to do 10 push-ups, and now she was able to do 20, right? After and honestly, like, that is such a small and seemingly petty thing to just compare, right? But the lesson behind this is there's always, if you always look back, there's always transformation that takes place, right? There's always something that you take for granted that you're really good at now, or just better at now, that you used to suck at, like you used to be really, really terrible at. And it's hard for us to sometimes appreciate this, because a lot of times when we try to, especially in like a job or in a skill or whatever it might be, we incrementally get better. You get better every single day by just hitting your singles, just doing the reps, getting better and better and better every day. And a lot of times we don't take the time to just sit back and appreciate where we were a week ago, where we were a month ago, where we were a year ago. And you look back and you compare yourself and you go, wow, that was absolutely incredible. I'm completely unrecognizable at this particular thing, right? And maybe for some of you, you look back and your entire life is unrecognizable. Like the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, you weren't able to do at all in, even a year ago or 5 years ago. You might be living in a completely different city. You might be doing a completely different job, right? Like 5 years ago, let's think about this. So 5 years ago would have been 2014. I was just finishing up and actually quitting from my first ever job to move to Blacksburg to be with my now wife, then girlfriend, to start a completely new career in a new industry and just be there with her, because we had done the long distance relationship for 2 years. The things that I do now today, this podcast, the job I have, the businesses I'm starting, like those things were impossible for me back then. That hadn't even been thought of, hadn't even been considered a possibility, right? That was like almost the beginning of the change in my mindset of being more of a business related person, being more of a rich dad, poor dad thinker, right? Like that, there's more to life than just working for a paycheck all the time. That there's more to life than just, getting up and doing what you got to do every day and then going to bed and waking up and doing it again, right? So my lesson for you today is that simple, right? Like when you take a step back and you look back, maybe you were only able to do so a good competition I shouldn't say a good comparison I like to use is running, because that's what I do a lot of. I love to run. It's like my main workouts, my go-to. It's the business I want to start. Like it's everything, right? So maybe when you started out, you couldn't even walk a mile. Maybe you're overweight. Maybe you're recovering from having a baby. Maybe you're recovering from having a knee replacement. Like I don't know. Maybe you're doing a whole bunch of different things, and you couldn't even walk a mile without help. Maybe you couldn't even walk 10 steps without help, right? But the more you work at it, the more you get better, the more you track what you do, the more you just improve, the more incrementally better you get, and those little wins add up. And then you look back 6 months later and you're running an 8-minute mile. And it's like, what happened, right? But we get so caught up in the day-to-day grind, the day-to-day small improvements, the day-to-day not seeing improvements some days, that we think we're taking steps backwards. But we're really not. We're just learning. We're failing. Like, failing is part of the process, right? So even if you're only able to do 10 push-ups, maybe you're only able to do 1 push-up, and you get up to the point where you can do 20, that is incredible. Like, it's a small thing, but you have to appreciate like how incredible that truly is. Like, the fact that you can, get online and book a flight to a different city and rent a car and then get a hotel and go to a business meeting and then get the car back and then get back on a flight and go back to your home, we take for granted. But you couldn't do that when you were 5 years old. Like, you couldn't do that back then. You've learned how to do that. You've figured things out. You've failed. You've screwed up. You've stubbed your toes. But you can actually, the things that we're capable of with this technology proliferant society is unbelievable, right? So my question for you today is this: where in your life is there just one thing that you can take a step back and look and say, that was impossible for me 1 year ago, and now it's easy? I talked about this in a previous episode. Once impossible, now easy. There is something in your life that you are, whether you think you're good at it or not, there's something that you are, what's the word I'm looking for? Efficient, proliferant, efficient at, whatever you want to use, that you once, like, it was once impossible for you. There's no way you could have possibly done it. And now it's like second nature. So that is my question for you. Where in your life is that a thing? Like, where are you able to do something that you once was impossible? And how can you keep improving? And how can you apply this to a different area of your life? Something that you now think that you cannot do. How can you start getting better at it every single day and working towards it so it becomes second nature to you in a month, 2 months, 6 months? So those are it's like a dual challenge for you, I guess I should say, to think about today. And I really want, it's a goal to start your Monday and your week with some appreciation, just some gratitude for, like, hey, this in my life is actually good. This is a good thing. This is awesome. I once wasn't able to do this and now I can. Okay. So that's going to wrap up today's show. As always, thank you all for joining. Really appreciate you guys. As always, stay tuned. We're on the countdown now. Let me check here. It should be about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks or so, and we will be releasing the Run Your Day Studio app on the iTunes store. It's going to be freaking awesome, my friends. Get excited. It's going to be really, really cool. Be a way to engage more deeply with the show, with other listeners, journal your thoughts, keep track of things. It'll be really, really cool. So stay tuned for that. Get excited for that. It's going to be freaking cool. As always, thank you all for joining. Dan Hafner signing off. Make it a great rest of your day.
Thank you for listening to the Run Your Day podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, feel free to share today's show with friends and family. Until next time, have a great day.